What's up, guys? My name is Evan Perperis. I'm the owner of Strength and Speed, also the runner of this website. We're going to be talking about Pammachon and kind of what it is, why I chose this name, and what you're going to be learning from this Patreon page specifically. So to start off, Pammachon is just the name of the style of combatives I chose for when I'm teaching, right? So if we want to go way back in time, we can look at what the early Greeks taught for fighting. At the sport level, they did something called pancration, which is essentially the modern version of MMA, right? So it's striking and grappling. Additionally, they had something called haplomokia, which is essentially weapons combat, right? So the projectile weapons and striking weapons, swords and stuff like that, that would have been a separate category. That would not be included with pancration, right? So pancration, empty hand, haplomokia, weapons. Pammachon is essentially everything. Essentially, it's the old Greek term for combatives, which is the modern term we use today. So I'm just using an older term. Am I teaching what they taught, 2000 plus years ago? No, I'm not teaching that. I don't, I think there is value in learning some of the stuff from the past. It's cool historical look at things. That's not what I'm teaching. What I'm teaching is essentially the stuff I've learned through training in a bunch of different styles, through my time in the military, my time in special forces, and then some of the lessons I learned, both mindset as well as physical fitness and conditioning and nutrition stuff that I've learned as a professional obstacle course racer. We're going to do another video that's more of a deep dive on kind of like who I am, kind of what I bring to the table that's unique, but that will be a separate video. I'm not creating a new martial art. I am not a grandmaster or anything. It's just simply the term I'm using to describe what I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to teach some basic stuff, jab, cross, hook, all the kind of the basic stuff you need if you have no martial arts experience. But then I'm also going to kind of expand it and go into some more of the mindset stuff, some of the more advanced skills, and some of the weapon skills. Personally, I really like blade work, so you'll get some of that in the Patreon section. And then you also get some firearms, you'll get some driving, you'll get some mindset stuff, a whole bunch of really good things. As I started going down like the martial arts rabbit hole and that martial arts journey, I started up figuring out really quickly like if you have like a little bit of experience in a specific range of combat, and that's the range you happen to be fighting in, you tend to do a lot better than your opponent. Obviously, yeah, if you're a high level wrestler and you go against another wrestler, right? You got to kind of start edging each other out. But like if you have no wrestling experience, and going against a guy with like a couple months of wrestling experience, a lot of times the guy with a couple months will absolutely dominate you. So that's kind of a little bit of what happened to me, except with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I had a couple of months, I don't say months even. I had a couple of hours, like about 40 hours of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience. And I went and took a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, got my butt kicked the first time, tapped out multiple times in a couple of minutes. And then within 2 weeks of that, I also did some grappling as part of my karate test of time. I was going for like green belt or something, or green brown. I can't remember what it was. But there I was like dominating people because I had 40 hours of experience essentially, and the guys I was going against only had like 5 or 10, right? So I figured out if you can just learn a little bit of experience in each range of combat, you can make yourself a lot better, and you'll be better than 90+% of the people you meet. When we engage in combat or sport fighting, we don't always get to choose the range we fight in. So a lot of times that's dictated to us by what our opponent's doing. So there's a need to be competent in all range. If you've seen the original UFCs, right? 1993, Royce Gracie goes in there, absolutely dominates people. He's using blue belt, so essentially the first belt up from white belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu moves, and he's completely dominating people. These are supposed to be masters in all these other different martial art styles, right? So he's using basic moves, what we would consider basic moves today, back in 1993, and they absolutely can't stop him. If you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, I highly recommend you go back and watch the first couple of UFCs. He wins 3 of the first 4. He drops out of one of them because of an injury from a previous fight. But go back and watch them and look to see him doing basic Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu white to blue belt moves and absolutely dominating his opponent. When I talk about the different ranges of combat, I like to use a house analogy. Right, so everyone has a house. Everyone's got different size rooms. Some people have a big bathroom, some people have a big bedroom, some people have a huge garage. Maybe you put your gym in your garage, so that's like a really big space. but they're all a little bit different. And I consider martial arts, how you develop your martial arts house, the same way, right? So you may want a big garage and a small bedroom and then like a big living room, just like you may want a lot of experience in grappling, maybe just a little bit of experience in firearms, and maybe a little more experience in blade work. So everyone's kind of different. So you just want to develop it how you personally want to develop it and what interests you. That being said, you should still have a bathroom in your house. You should still have a bedroom, right? Just like you should still have a little bit of experience in all different ranges of combat. When we look at martial arts, generally they tend to fall in a couple different categories, right? So we can picture a Venn diagram of overlapping circles. First one is kind of competition slash sport. So modern judo, taekwondo. There are certain Brazilian jiu-jitsu gyms that are very sport focused and combat sports focused, right? So it's competition based, and that's what people want to get in. Another big circle, I'd say, is self-protection. People want to go in because they want to get better at defending themselves, and that's not necessarily, they overlap, but they're not mutually exclusive. They don't go directly overlap, right? So partially overlapping Venn diagram, and then the third one is his self-development. So we talk self-development. We talk about making new friends, getting better at a complex skill, learning new things, and maybe learning kata that you're not going to use. You just think is fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing martial arts because you enjoy it, right? This is modern America. We do things because we enjoy them. There's nothing wrong with doing a martial art that is not the best for sport or not the best for street defense just because you want to learn something new. So with Pammachon, I'm trying to like what I personally enjoy. I'm trying to kind of like hit towards the center of those three circles, getting a little bit of mix of each, right? Because if you just train for self-protection, a lot of times the moves are very simple and you'll find yourself getting bored. So you need to mix in a little bit of art and a little bit of competition because that's part of pressure testing and you get used to actually doing resistance against certain moves. You also may want to do more self-development. Like maybe you want to make more friends. Maybe you just want to learn some cool skills. Maybe you learn how to spin a bow staff because it looks cool. That's fine too. Do some of those movements transfer over to striking weapons, whether that be blades or sticks? Yeah, some of those movements do transfer over. Um, and by focusing on more of the art side, sometimes you get a little bit better at the combative side, right? So there's a mix, and everyone's mix is going to be different. There's no right answer. I'm giving you what I enjoy. You can explore on your own and find anything that you like and kind of focus deep dive into those subjects. But like I said, I recommend doing a little bit in all of them because you'll find benefits that overlap. And then finally, last comment I want to make is goals change as you age. I am, at the time of this recording, low 40s. My goals for combatives, for shooting, for blade work have changed over the course of my life, and my ability, my physical fitness has varied over the course of my life, right? So, obviously I was more competition, I'm not say obviously, I was more competition based when I was younger. As I've gotten older and I can feel some of the decline, eventually I feel like I'll eventually switch to more just kind of maintaining functional movement. I've heard some pretty famous martial artists, Michael Jai White, at one point on a podcast, there was a black belt podcast, said Tai Chi is the most effective martial art, and which sounds crazy, right? Because it's those slow movements. And he's like, yeah, but Tai Chi gets people used to moving, especially at an older age. And the longer you can keep moving, the longer you can stay healthy, the higher quality of life you'll have, especially at the end of your life. And he's like, to me, that's better than learning how to chop somebody in the throat and then stab them in the subclavian or whatever your martial art you're doing, or maybe doing a double leg on someone. But there are values in some of those grappling styles too, right? Break falls is like probably, I would say, one of the most important skills you can learn in martial arts because may not everyone in their lifetime will get mugged or get into a fight in the streets, but at some point you probably will fall. All right, so that's an excellent skill you need to have. So that's kind of like a overview of like what is Pammachon, um, and kind of, or Pammachon, depending on how we pronounce it there, and just kind of want to tell you about what it is, why I started it, and just kind of what I'll be teaching. We're gonna do another video talking about a little bit about my background, and then that's gonna give you a little bit more clues as to kind of like the information you'll be getting here. So stay tuned, stick around, and we'll see you all in the next video.